What's going on, guys? James Banks here, back with another video, and this time around I'm going to be doing my pick'ems for the IEM Katowice 2019 Legend stage. I'm going to show you what happened in my challenger stage. I've got a few questions people have asked me that I'm going to answer as well. I'm going to go through it all. But firstly, Rivalry.gg, they've been looking after me. I started speaking to them around last year. They've been supporting a lot of my content, as you guys are, just by watching it, and they're allowing me to create even more content even while I'm on the road and while I'm constantly traveling to events and stuff. So big shout out to them. And I got to tell you, if you head to rivalry.gg/TDBanks, if you do that, you'll see it come up on the screen, magic, all like that. You know, editing, it's all possible. If you head over to there, that's called the Thunderdome. Now, it's completely free to enter. You can just enter it and get playing, and you can actually earn some money coming off the back of it. Now, I just ask you guys to check it out, have a look at it. Remember, you've got to be over 18 to make it work, and it just gives you the potential to enter for free and leave with some cash and use your passion to make some picks. You might even want to use some of my decision making here and the reasonings I'm giving in that side of things. Go check it out, go have a look. It's always worth it. Go and give Rivalry a bit of love, as they are giving that love back to me and other content creators around the CSGO scene. Now let's get into this, right? Let me bring it up on the screen for you guys. So I'm going to start by going back, right? Let me go to my challenge stage. Now, this made perfect sense, right? And I'm going to get up on the questions to start off with, because this is one of the questions that came in. So what did I think was my biggest surprise of the challenger stage and what went wrong? Fnatic, straight away. And I did think they'd go 3-0. I got to watch them at the PLG event that was in Abu Dhabi. They ended up winning it. They won it against the G2 that wasn't looking too strong, let's be honest. G2 overall, okay, they've made it to the major now, but they didn't look great overall. Vici surprised me. It was Greyhound that went 0-3. I'm going to come on to this Fnatic thing. Now, NRG, they wrecked. They looked really good. I'm impressed. I'm pleased for them. Cloud9, it wasn't easy, but they got there in the end. It was a little bit awkward. ENCE, still playing Counter-Strike the way I like to see it get played. But still, their games are very close, right? They're still getting these closer games come into play. And what that says to me is that they're kind of in a position where they certainly know how the game should be played. They don't take the risk sometimes. Like, you don't see them force up as much when they're getting to these closer rounds. Things seem to kind of, like, they not lose the momentum, but it feels like they give a team another bit of chance to come in momentum-wise and fight back into it. But overall, they came and did what they need to do. Now, the scary thing for them going into Legends is Alu, who's just had a baby, which means he's gone home for a few days, but he arrives, I think, either tonight or tomorrow. It's Monday, by the way, when I'm filming this. Monday, let me give you the date just to make sure I'm right. Monday the 18th, there you go. Avangar, I picked them to go through. They were looking really good in the minors. They continue to impress. Good stuff from them. Nip. Now, I got to be honest, I don't really know what's going on with this team, because they should have made it through a little bit cleaner than they did. Forest had a great standout game, but still, there's so many pieces of that team, especially around in-game leadership, which you just go, I don't know what's going on. Now, this one where I chose Tyloo, okay, I made the Tyloo pick because I was thinking, well, look, you've got Jonta as a coach now. You're adding more maps to your map pools we saw towards the end of last year. We haven't seen him this year at all. No official games, nothing played, so that kind of that unknown inside of it all. I'm thinking, hey, look, I got a good feeling about this. That feeling was wrong. That feeling was absolutely wrong. Slap on my wrist. That was not how it should have gone down. When they got to the best of threes, they struggled once again. It's been spoken about by Sponge and so many other people on Twitter that while they're having the mix of English and Chinese and all that, and you've got, so let me just describe how this works. Bentech gets communication from, say, Jonta, the coach, or he's making a decision. He types it out in Mandarin while getting information in English and then passing that on. So it's kind of a bit of a shambles, a bit of a confusing one for them. They didn't play as I expected them to play. They didn't play as good as I wanted them to play. Sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Now, Vitality, they made it through. They were looking okay. But again, MBK, he had some great standout performances. Zywoo was in there as well. Obviously, we kind of expect that right now. But it is certainly a bit of a weird one when it comes down to these guys, right? Now, if you can hear all the madness, this is what happens when you live in a rundown area. When you live in the hood, this is what happens. always. Can't avoid it. Now, the Fnatic story, which is a specific question that you guys asked. A lot of people, and I had this when I did the HLTV confirmed episode, people were against me on this, of singling out players. I'm sorry, Exist, you could be a great support player, right? You've got so much experience as well. But you should not be an in-game leader on that roster. You don't make great veto decisions. You have not really proven to be anything innovation-wise into this lineup of Fnatic, and that was the bit that I was like, this is the problem. Maybe when they come into the major, they're going to take it really good. They're going to have like a full fire behind them. They've always continued to make it. Like Fnatic is a team that you expect to see in the Legend stage. It's always been that way. This time it didn't work. Now, for me, Crim's still performing really well. Twist, we know what he can do. He's at his level. I don't think we're going to see him like go higher than that level, but he's on a good position. Brolan, like young talent, incredible stuff on his major, and he's still able to put up their performances. Really happy. That's great to see. JW, the weird AWP role situation of how he kind of sometimes wants to pick it up, other times doesn't pick it up. It's not a good look, bro. Like, you're known for being that good. I don't know. I think we're getting to the point where, especially in the Swedish scene, some of these other young players are going to start coming up more, and some of these old players are going to have to retire. I think for Fnatic, it's not just Exist, correct? But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Exists and JW change. And that's not because they're terrible. That's not because they don't deserve a spot anymore. But it needs a refresh, right? We need a big boost of adrenaline into that team to try and make things work. Maybe they can bounce back a little bit, but for me, I don't see enough change in kind of what they're doing. There's multiple times as well we saw them literally walk out and obviously super confident as they should be, and they're not checking some of the basics, right? They're like lazy peeking. When I say lazy peeking, that's like they only half check. They really quickly check and then check back, and they see it and they're like, oh, and it's too late because you haven't actually gone in with a mentality that someone could be there. And in their game against Vici, that was the Vici one. It was opening game. You're thinking, yeah, Fnatic's definitely going to win this. Didn't happen, did it? And so many teams expected Fnatic to like kind of breeze through this, and it wasn't an option for them. It was rough. It's a big upset. It's a big surprise, and it'll either be grind time for Fnatic now, or we'll see some changes again. But there's no way you're getting rid of Brolan or Crims. Twists I wouldn't remove at all. So for me, it comes down to JW and Exist. Let's see what happens with them in the future. Now, I'm going to say this as well. Seedings have not been done. So the seedings for the IEM Katowice 2019 major, the first major to have the seeding as well, means every single team rates every team at their stage from 1 to 16. And then all that comes together and it gives us an overall picture of the averages of what all the teams think. And that will show us kind of, oh, okay, well, look, this is how this is working. This is how that is working. And it'll give us our matchups, basically. Now, these matchups haven't been released yet. They're being done tomorrow morning at like 9 or 10 a.m. by ESL. Then they'll have to get it all together and release it, put it into all the number crunching, right? Make sure it all comes out fair. So we don't know this just yet. So I'm purely doing this based off what I know, what I have an idea of, the information I've kind of been given. Now, what I'm going to start by doing is obviously doing these ones. Like Astralis 100%. Now, I'm not doing my 3003 just yet. They're going to go through Astralis, right? I can't see them not doing it. Made in Brazil, same for them. Team Liquid, same for them. Now, most people would say, yeah, Na'Vi, they should make it. I'll come back to this one because there's so many reasons I think they should and they can. There's so many reasons I think that could be an issue. FaZe Clan definitely should make it as well. No problem at all there in my eyes. Yes, we don't know fully what this team can deliver, but still, they have such world-class players on that team. Can't see it not happening. Now, this is where you get down to these final three. This is where it gets a little bit more kind of tricky, I'd say. NRG. Now, you went 3-0 at the Challenger stage, as expected. Okay, you had a few closer results, but I'm still saying, like, you were a good team. What I like to see from them is, okay, we can see nutty games from, like, Ethan, Cirque, Breezy, for example. But they've kept a core unit. When I see them together at events, they've got that kind of team atmosphere. They're already together. They've got a great coach as well in I'm a Pet. This has got some really longevity for them to be the number 2 American team or number 3 American team behind like the Liquids and the MIBR, right? They are, for me, the ones that like, yes, look, you've got a great chance here. Now, this is the last 2 spots for me, and this is where it becomes difficult because I think Ents have a great shot of making it. I think Avantgarde have got a good shot of making it. I think Vitality, I'm not sold on them. It's not a direct pick for me. And I think Big certainly could, because what we saw from Big towards the end of E-League was like, okay, you're doing well. We're getting there. Now they've dropped Smooya off, and we're not going to have that weird warp situation where Smooya wants to warp, but Tab's absorbing on certain situations. It's a bit more of like a back and forth. I think there is a lot of potential there for Big to make it through. But I don't think it's going to be that easy. And I don't just want to pick previous legends who have been all the ones making it through. So I'm going to put Big down here. Now, I was going to put Big originally in my 3-0 position. The reason I thought about that is because Big, great in the best of ones. 2 best of ones, 1-0, 1-0, no problem. Then they get to a best of 3, and they can probably play against a team who's maybe not as like experienced on map pool wise, right? Say they get a Hellraisers or an Avangar, and then they should be able to win it out. But there are also some of the games where it can get very scrappy, and we don't know that much on what Big can do. Zonterra is a brilliant player, absolute world-class talent, but his English is very minimal. I'm not sure if he's speaking German at all. There's a lot of Turkish people that do speak German. Maybe that's kind of how this is working for the roster, but it's a bit of a tough one for him. Then we've got one more spot here as well. So I want to put Navi here. I want to put Ents here. And I was saying that I'm even wearing an Ents hoodie during this, of all things. See, I believe Ents will make it, but my biggest worry for them is that this whole Alu having a baby. Now, he's done the right thing. He's gone back. He's had a baby. But it means you've lost some days of practice. You've lost some days of getting prepared. Now, I'm sure the rest of the team's playing. I'm pretty sure Twister, the coach, who, by the way, is a great coach. Like, fantastic coach. He doesn't get enough praise for what he's doing. But he'll be playing him in that team, right, and trying to help them get the practice underway. I just think this is going to be the pushing point. This is going to be the really hard one for them. And this is where I have to think more logically than more based on what I've seen from Ents, because Ents can 100% make it through to that legend stage. But this could be the thing that separates them from doing it and not doing it, because Alu not having these extra few days of practice, them kind of not having that team feel just as they go into the opening games. Now, he's due to arrive either tonight, which is Monday, or tomorrow, which is great, but still, that's only then one extra day of practice as a full team are heading into it. And any little changes they might want to make is going to be difficult. Now, let me start by going and eliminating off the rest of these teams. Now, Complexity, I'm putting them in 0-3. I think everyone will rate them at the bottom. They've made it to a legend stage. They've changed their team massively since we've last seen it, in terms of like other players coming and going. They've got nothing playing in there. I think he's playing in for the major. I'll have to check that. And this is the problem I have. Like, I don't believe that Complexity are even close to the level they should be to going up against these other teams. Like, I can see them losing to Renegades, Vitality, Avangar, Ents, even Nip, G2, the random Cloud9. Like, all these other teams I would put ahead of them. I don't care if it's a best of one. I think the only thing that Complexity might be able to do is, like, pull off an upset on a team that takes longer to warm up. So maybe if they get drawn up against the G2, who are knowingly slow starters in events, then yeah, maybe they get away with it there. But that's my kind of, look, this is the safe pick for getting a 0-3. Now, these things don't often go the way we hope them to go. Now, for the 3-0, everyone's like, oh yeah, well, that'll be Astralis or Liquid. Yeah, of course. I completely agree. But I'm in a good mind to even put Big there at some points. because of the way they play, the way they think things through. The Big is a team where, when they know their opponent in advance, prepare so hard. The regiment that Gobby and Legia and Kakafu, who will still be all there, even though they're not listed, they'll still be around in the practicing. The system these guys have in place is all about the preparation. So it's a bit of a tough one, because we know Astralis, Liquid, MIBR, they're going to go through, right? I'm pretty sure of that. But it's the 3-0, because they know they can afford, like, oh, we drop a map and we come back through, no problem at all. And that's where it gets scary. Now, if you're going for the safe bet, then I would say, yep, go in and put your Astralis in, just drag them in and put them in the 3-0, right? Or even do Liquid, for example. No problem at all, do Liquid there. But Big's my one where I think, do I just put them in the 3-0? Because they were definitely holding back at E-League, right? There was many games that went really close, but I could see they were trying things out, but maybe didn't have their full tactical. And again, this comes from personal feeling. I know these guys very well, especially the big guys. When I lived in Berlin, I spent a fair amount of time with these guys, and it's just their approach to the game that makes me think, okay, actually, you guys could be planning something. You could be up to things, but that could be me being baited myself here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it smart. I'm going to drop Team Liquid in there. The reason I'm going to go for Liquid is I know Liquid are going to come straight out the gates, running in, wanting to continue their dominance. Twists, unbelievable. Nitro, been playing great. Elige, ever since the Orgs come into play, he was way ahead of everyone else. I did an interview with him at, I think it was Pro League Finals. And when I spoke to him, he literally broke down the Org to be stat by stat, even telling me numbers I didn't know. And I was like, damn, okay, you've got this worked out, bro. You know exactly how this is going. So Liquid's going to be my 3-0. Now, this is where we now have a few more freed up spots here. So as you guys said, well, as I said, sorry, to you guys. Ents, I believe they can make it. The Alu thing's a bit that makes me nervous. Navi, I think they should make it because you've got the best player in the world who could literally carry everyone on his back, kicking and screaming. Simple's there going, hey, look at how good I am. These fucks behind me. Electronic's there. Like, admittedly, Electronic's good. I just don't think he's being utilized in the best way as a player just yet. There's certain positions he maybe should play differently and stuff like that. But I could do a whole video on that. But yeah, this is simple. Just carrying everyone on. So say he's got Electronic alongside him. Him and Electronic walking along and then just carrying this massive bag of the rest of them. So I'm going to put Navi in there. I believe in the Navi dream. But Renegades, you went 3-0 at the Challenger stage where you normally fall apart. I just can't, in a world, see them consistently beating these other teams I picked. I don't see it happening. Avangard, certainly huge upset potential, but there's one key factor. When they lose their star players from hitting the mark, which does happen every now and again, like James, he didn't show up a little bit at the minors when I was doing that event. That could be the real difference between winning and losing, because the Challenger stage teams, yes, you made it through. This is a whole different kettle of fish. Now, Vitality, the real interesting team, I believe they are a team that can make Legends, but not right now. I think they need some more time. The reason for that is MBK, Apex, RPK, they've all got this like tenure, right, of so many years of playing CS. They've been grinding it out so hard. Only Zyru is the young gun in this, right? And it's a big stage for him. Now, he's proven already that he can beat some of the best players in the world. He can go toe-to-toe with them. But I think Vitality's style of play at the moment is very limited. They're still playing a good amount of maps, but the maps that I'd say they're really good at is only like 2 to 3. And I think that's where they'll get pushed out a little bit. So I can't side with them. Nip. Oh boy. Like I said earlier, this team wasn't really a fan of how they did at the Challenger stage. Expected better of them. I can't see them making it through Legends. G2. Now, they surprised me because I expected them to bomb out at the end. I honestly thought it was going to be game over. I was like, cool, G2, it's over for you again. And I slept on them a little bit. I even tweeted out, I said, hey, I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. This didn't work out. So I was like, okay, now get to Legend stage. And again, it's not going to happen. You didn't play well enough at Challenger stage. You've not got enough time to kind of change it all the way through. I don't think it's going to happen for this team. Cloud9, you're still playing like a pug team. You're still playing like it's mixing. And yes, you don't have Golden. But Zelsis, for example, someone who a lot of people have talked up quite highly. I put a tweet out. He was the lowest rated player until the last best of 3, and then he came alive. Yes, fantastic, Zelsis. You came alive when it mattered, and you got your team through. Down with that. And I honestly think he's a promising talent that's going to come up. But if he kind of choked a little bit early on at the Challenger stage, the Legend stage is going to be even harder for him. And that fall's going to be even bigger. Now, Big. I've said my reasons on why I think they could even potentially go 3-0. But we just know so little about them. Like we saw the E-League event, right? But there's no guarantees here. Now, Hellraisers is an interesting one. Issa, Woxic, such an awesome dynamic, such good chemistry. They're literally best friends inside and out of the game, which helps them so much. I had an interview with Angel during the Face It Major. Angel said to me that basically one of his biggest concerns is that they don't take the practice games as seriously as what he would like. Obviously, Angel, one of the most experienced in-game leaders in the CIS region, such a knowledgeable player throughout. He's been playing since the 1.6 eras all the way till now. He's shown that he's here to stay. He's the one that can train that out of him. Dead Fox, a lot of people write him off every single time. Oh, he's a bot. Oh, he doesn't play up the standard. Dead Fox can still hang. He can still hold his own. He plays his role. He's certainly not a star player, though. And then we get the weird one in this team, right? We've got Hobbit there. Hobbit, I never expected to see on Hellraisers, but he's actually looked really good. And I've enjoyed watching him play. My problem is, if I'm going to choose between a Hellraisers where they've got a lot of firepower there, but they've still got a few pieces where you say, well, actually, okay, you're good on Overpass. You can play a Mirage. You can play quite an aggressive style as well to counter some other teams. But I don't see that as enough to take down a very well prepared team who are also preparing to be against you. So when it comes down to it, I got to put Big back in this situation. Now, I think it was between Big, Vitality, and Hellraisers there. And Big for me, Best of ones, they can prepare so well, they know how to get it done, they'll play to their strengths, and it works out for them. In the best of threes, they've got a deep map pool. In their heads, they believe they can play more maps than maybe what they can. I think they think they can literally play all the maps, right? I'd say 4 to 5. If they're realistic, they probably play 5 to 6. For me, I think 4 to 5 is more reasonable on what they play up to this level on. So these are my picks. Tweet at me, drop messages in the comments, let me know what you think of this. Let me know what your pick'em's like in comparison. Remember, I've had to do this based on a lot of guesswork. It's not exactly like I've gone, hey, yeah, this is 100% how it's going to go down, because we don't know what's going to happen. I might even change this. So check on my Twitter, at BanKs Esports on Twitter. You can check that. It'll all be down there anyway. But I may even change my pick'ems, because this has changed a fair bit from what I did yesterday. Didn't have Na'Vi in yesterday, but after further consideration, after looking at what the other teams can offer, still see them being in there. ENCE is probably my, I would say ENCE, big, Na'Vi are my biggest gambles. Na'Vi because of the whole thing of, I didn't explain this. So Simple did an interview with me after they lost the ESL Pro League, and he said that basically there would be changes after the major guaranteed. So I'm guessing this is Zeus's last chance. Maybe one other player drops from the team and they rebuild a little bit around that. Or Na'Vi finally sell Simple to somewhere else. I wouldn't want to see that, because I think he wants to be on Na'Vi. He wants to represent Ukraine. He's such a big figurehead for the whole scene. But there'll be changes after major either way. So this is like the one last gun-ho. Let's see what we can do with this roster. Potentially. Remember, players say these things in heated moments in interviews and stuff like that. There's also a video released on Zeus's YouTube. You can go and check it out. And they were boot camping before one of the events in London they were doing just recently. And he was literally not in a good place. There was a lot of anger in that position. It's quite an interesting one to watch. Gives you an understanding of where the team dynamics at. That team certainly is going to make changes. But I think Electronic and Simple are enough. I think they will be able to drag and kicking and screaming. Best of ones, if they can play it into their hands a little bit on maps, they'll just go through dome heads. Simple does what he does best, and we see it all move along a little bit like that. When it comes to NRG, I think they've got the skill now and the ability now to get further forward here. I think ENCE is probably my biggest gamble at this point. And big, hopefully they can play well without Smooya. It'll be the first time we get to see this with Next coming back after a little bit of downtime. Hey, let me know how your pick'ems go. Thank you for checking out my pick'ems, guys. Wow. The major already has been crazy. It's going to get even crazier when we come into the Legends stage. Honestly, and I know people keep saying this, but this has been the best major in terms of teams competing, how the minors worked out, how the seeding system's working. This is what we expect. This is what we wanted when it comes to Counter-Strike. So, yeah, I'm just so happy for all of this. Now, don't forget, guys, you can visit www.rivalry.gg/TD_BanKs. So TD stands for Thunderdome. That's the free-to-play little bit of gaming there we can do on Rivalry. Choose yourself some picks, and you can actually win some crash prizes from it. Hey, you may even want to use some of my odds and stuff we come in it. See what you think of what I've done, and maybe that kind of hedges your bets on where you want to go with it. But remember, you ought to be over 18. Make sure you're looking after yourselves and all that. And if you do any betting on the side or any real betting yourself, make sure you only bet responsibly, only bet what you can bet, and don't get tilted at others when you take information from mine or any other analysts or other teams' decisions on what they say out there. Remember, it's all down to you. You're the one putting that in. You're the one committing. But hey, hope you enjoyed the video. Plenty more coming in terms of interviews and little videos like this. I'll probably do one before we get to the playoff stage as well. So, and yeah, I'll probably tidy up my background. I've just moved into a new office. So I'll probably tidy up my background next time as well. See you guys next time.